Hey, this is Eric Johnson with Northern Vista, and I've decided to make my first video. It's the beginning of August, and up here in Alaska that is the prime time for picking red currants. I use red currants for mead, occasionally for jelly, and in order to make mead, especially 5 gallons, I need to pick a lot of currants. Oftentimes I pick 10 pounds of currants a year. And for anyone who's picked currants before, you're well aware of how tedious it is to remove currants from the stem. And as you can see here, I have a few handfuls of the berries I picked yesterday. Went ahead and picked 10 pounds. And this is what my typical berry basket looks like. A lot of berries, stems, and leaves. Now normally I'd have to go through and pick out the stems one by one, but this year found a handy trick to separate stems from the berries. It's much faster. Thought I would share it with you here. First thing you'll need is a piece of wire mesh, and you can find this at your local hardware store. It's really inexpensive. And you'll need a wire mesh that has 1/2-inch openings, and that's what I've got here. You can see I have a colander underneath, and I've simply bent the wire mesh in the 4 corners so that it fits nicely over the colander. The next step is to go ahead and put the berries onto the wire mesh, and as you can see I've already put a few berries in there already. And what you do is you just pile the berries up on top of the mesh, and as you do, the loose berries will start to fall down. Now I usually do this process about 3 different times, and usually by the 3rd time I've removed the vast majority of the stems. So this first time I put berries on here, once I have a pile on top of the mesh, I'll take my hand and fairly vigorously run it around, and you'd be amazed at how quickly this helps the berries get removed from the stems. After I've pushed the berries through with my hands fairly vigorously this first round, you'll notice that there's a few berries hanging down underneath the mesh. And you'll see I just take my hand and gently pull those berries, and you'll be amazed at how many of those just pop right off the stem. You'll see when I'm done, I have a number of stems that are left over, and I'll put these in my bucket with the rest of my stems. Here's my second round of putting the berries through the wire mesh, and you'll see this time that a lot more berries are starting to fall through because they've been loosened from the stems. And you'll also notice this time, as I go ahead and move these berries around, I'm using a really light touch, and that makes it so that all the loose berries for sure fall through the mesh, but because I'm using a lighter touch, a lot of the stems are staying right there where they belong. I'll go ahead and do the rest of my batch here. And once again, just kind of very gently move it to the outside. Loose berries fall down through. The ones with the stems are left. And you can see now that I have quite a few stems in there. So this time I'm not going to reach down underneath to grab the berries out. I'm just going to go ahead and throw these in my garbage bucket, and that way it'll once again keep these stems from getting into the berries. Alright, this is my final strain, and you'll notice as I start putting the berries in here that a lot more of them are just completely loose and falling through without the stems. One of the things I'll do this time is as I put them in, I'll really sort of spread them around so that the loose ones can get through and only the stems, leaves, and whatnot remain. So you'll see this time I have a very small pile, and this time I'll just be very gentle and make sure that I'm only getting berries through the strainer and no stems. And that looks about good to me. You can see caught a few more stems that time. And very quickly, let me show you what we end up with. There's still a few stems in there, but much reduced. In fact, take a look. you'll see very few stems or leaves or anything else to pick out. Just wanted to show you real quickly then. Here's my basket of stems, and you'll notice there are definitely a few berries left in there. But this process really does take out the majority of foreign material out of your red currant harvest. To find my recipe on making raspberry currant mead, you can always visit my website, northernvista.org. See you later.